Hi everyone, I'm Krupa. I'm here for the next episode of What's in My Studio. So I'm going to give it just a few moments for everyone to start logging on. And we're going to bring on an artist today named Tone. Awesome. Hello. Thank you for joining, guys. It'll be just a few moments. For those of you who don't know, again, my name is Krupa. I'm hosting today's series of What's in My Studio. So we're gonna give it a few moments, and I'm just waiting for Atlanta's local artist named Tone to come in. And we're gonna talk about her work, mental awareness, and diversity in the arts community and what that means. So, like I said, I'm just gonna give it a couple of minutes and let everyone kind of start to come in. But if you're new, What's in My Studio is here to feature artists here in Atlanta, both POC and minority artists. So for anyone new who hasn't seen the past episodes, you can go to our Instagram account here on Sam's Flax and check out previous episodes. And if you're not familiar with the artists that we're bringing on today, go to Color Me Tone on IG and you'll be able to see. So I'm going to go ahead and add Tone in and let's get started.
Hey,
Hi.
I am so excited to meet you.
Me
Um,
too.
I know there's a little bit different pandemic and all. Normally, I would love to have met you in person, but we're gonna suffice with the internet connections.
Yes.
Awesome. So, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself as people are coming in, give them your name, what you do, all of the fun things.
Well, I am Tone Hubb. Most people know me as Color Me Tone, but Tone Hubb is my real name. I'm an artist. I'm a full-time designer, and outside of the corporate life, I like to paint and create stuff. So here I am.
Nice. So for again, for people who haven't seen you, you can go to her Instagram, Color Me Tone, and check out the work before we get like too deep into the interview so you know what's happening. But I'm excited. I've been like stalking your Instagram all week long to just kind of be like, oh, what is this? What's happening? Um, and I kind of want to start off with one of your most recent endeavors, which is the weather reports.
Yes.
I kind of want to know like how that started, what came into it, because they're so fun and lively. It's so different visually from like your illustration and paintings.
hmm
Where did the birth of this come from?
Um, I feel like I'm bringing like the energy within my artwork into life. Like I'm bringing it into fruition. Like I'm very energetic. Most people that know me, like I have high energy and I'm just kind of not all over the place, but I'm very spontaneous. So yeah, of course, people love to know the weather, so why not get a fun weather report? And we're always looking at the weather, and at this time right now, like we need laughter and fun and energy more than anything. So why not do a fun weather report? And of course, I
Yeah.
was bored in the house and we ordered a green screen and here we are.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, the
hmm
green screen kind of threw me. I've worked with them a little bit and I know they can be finicky, but like I saw the first one and I didn't really know what was happening and it was just so happy and so like such a good way to start my day and I was like, what is this? And then I noticed that your IG profile has the hashtag mental health awareness. And
hmm
that was part of why I kind of wanted to bring you on today too. I feel like artists are always overworking themselves and doing so many things at once. What is mental health
Ment-
awareness for you?
Mental healthness sometimes. Yes, indeed. That is what it is. No, mental health awareness is just basically just enjoying life, doing what you want to do. Um, we put so much pressure on ourselves. And me personally, just to share my experience, um, I was diagnosed with a few diagnoses, schizophrenia, bipolar, PTSD, a few years back or a few months back. And so um, I just think it's very important for us to pay close attention to our mental health, especially as artists, because our minds are just all over the place and we're just naturally kind of scattered. So it's important for us to kind of recenter ourselves and put our mental health first and foremost and not worry about what anybody thinks, because I think society puts a toll on us, and put so much pressure on us to be what they expect us to be. But be yourself. Just take care of yourself. Be happy. Eat right.
Nice.
Pet a
So
dog.
that's the best part of my day.
Hmm.
Petting a dog is definitely high on the mental health list for me. Um, in terms of, if it's okay, I'd like to ask a little bit of like your diagnosis and stuff, if it came as a surprise to you and what that meant for your artwork. Does it influence your work, or do you feel like um, it kind of separates and segments itself in your
Um,
life?
Wait, could you repeat the question again?
Yeah. I was asking, like, with your diagnosis, if you feel that influencing your work or if it's separate in your life from the creative work you do.
It definitely influences my work, because a lot of my drawings and paintings and murals are very metamorphosis, and
Yeah.
they're derived from the ink blot test. And there's so many different interpretations and perspectives, and I think that that kind of stems from people saying, people are schizophrenic, but I think it's just another dimension that we've kind of tapped into naturally, chemically. And that shows in my work because a lot of the times it looks like chaos, but if you kind of tune in and like listen with your eyes, then you're able to see different pictures and you're able to flip it and get different interpretations. And then it has meaning to you because you're able to relate. So I think that's kind of pretty much how it is with diagnosis with people, mental diagnosis.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
I have questions to my left that I'm kind of like going to reference back and forth. So just as like a heads up, you brought up the ink blot test, and I actually have a question me and her about it because I noticed that you have it written on your website, and I was curious, like, where does that start from? Like, how do you create these things from what's essentially just kind of not random blobs, but like undistinguishable for some people in terms of
Um,
like the shapes and things?
Lines. Everything is, well, first of all, everything is made out of numbers in the universe. Everything is made out of 0 and 1. So I kind of take that with lines. Like everything is made out of a line, if we were to turn things into like a two-dimensional aspect. So I start with lines and then I'm able to see different images and I kind of bring those images out and create narratives for them. Like sometimes, I don't know, I guess people experience this when they're on psychedelics, but I don't really dabble too much into that stuff. But when you look at like a tree and you kind of see a face, or cars, you look at cars and cars have different personalities. I like to look at cars and see like an angry face or a happy face. Like, they're saying different things. And I kind of bring that same energy into my artwork with lines.
Nice. So I've noticed even a lot of the pieces that you have are either like the black and white or you have colored, but you always have these strong black lines. Is there a reason
Mm-hmm.
for that?
Is
Or is
I
that
think
like signature to your style? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I'm sorry. I'm excited.
Get excited. I'm ready.
Um, Boldness. That I'm just a bold person. And again, I do graphic design too, so it's kind of like cleanliness, and those bold lines. It reminds me of a lot of the like logo stylistic, you know, the logo styles and a lot of graphic design. So I guess that's kind of where that stems from, the bold lines and the black. And everything is in black and white. With us, it seems like the world's either good or bad. And so I kind of wanted to portray like that good, bad, yes, no, black, white, perspective that we're given in my artwork.
Nice. Is there a designer that you kind of look up to or like reference in your work a lot? Like
Hmm.
do you have like a fandom for certain designers here in the industry?
I try not to. I don't want to be influenced too much. I just want to be, as individualized as I can. So there are some designers, but I try not to get too caught up into the worldly world and just do my own thing. You
Cool.
can get lost.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like you definitely need a GPS for life. At least
Yeah.
personally, I could use one every so often. So let's talk a little bit about your mediums and stuff because you've got the weather reports. I noticed you have jewelry making on your Instagram account and you have like your website, which is coloredbabies.com. Like, there's so many different elements that you kind of bring in throughout your work. Where do you kind of start? Like, are you always working on these multiple elements at the same time, or do you just like have a focus at a time? Like, are you just doing jewelry at one point and then painting at one point, or do you like to have multiple projects?
Different focuses at different times, different seasons. We're all so moody, and we change with the wind. I don't think it's just me. I feel like everybody can kind of relate to that. Like, one day you feel like drawing, one day you feel like taking pictures. And I consider, well, my dream is to be a creative director as an artist, so I try to make sure that I am nurturing all of my gifts and putting them out into the world. So I guess that's kind of where that all over the place comes from. But right now I'm working on clothing again. I have dresses. Well, I have a manufacturer in Quebec, and they create like bags and
Oh, wow. Is that
dresses.
one
And
of your designs?
yeah, this is actually one of my paintings.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Can we see it a little bit? Like, can you talk to us
Yeah,
about it?
absolutely. And I'm in Dahlonega right now. I'm out of my studio, so I brought some stuff with me to share. But this is actually one of my paintings. So this is an example of my work. You can kind of see where the double-sided imagery is, because in the actual painting, you can see like fish and mice and different animals. Um, but yeah, these are all complementary colors. So with this series, I decided to do different color palettes. And then I don't want to sell my artwork. So then I found a distributor and a manufacturer to put my artwork on the clothes. This is another shirt that I'm working on, or that I'm selling design. I just like to have, I don't really like to push sales too much. If you support, then you support, but I just like to get my stuff on tangible, materials. So, one day when we're 80, we'll have like millions of things that I've created and it's just sitting in my closet, or I don't know, out in the world. I don't know. I just enjoy creating.
Yeah. So your shirt says unity underneath, and you have like not a slogan, but on your website you say a brand that celebrates diversity and unity.
Hmm.
Why did you feel like that was significant to put up, like, and share that thought process when the world looks you up?
Because I'm strong. I'm really big on uniting with different ethnicities, and I don't believe in race. I feel like race is a way for people to put individuals into a box. We're not, the world is not black and white, but that's how we perceive it, if we want to, or we can flip the canvas and see different images and have more meaning with, the world. So Color Babies is basically a brand that celebrates differences and different ethnicities, and we come together through expression, art.
That's such a good way of putting it, and not to like feed you compliments, but like I really like that. I feel like a lot of companies really push diversity and inclusion in their brand, where your brand is just kind of living it as
Mm.
a constant. Um, let's talk about your mediums though. This is Sam's Flack. Obviously, we're selling art supplies at some point, but like, what are your favorite mediums to work with? How do you choose them? I mean, do you have favorite brands in terms of acrylics? Like, where is your studio like starting from in terms of physical material that you like to use?
Physical material is mostly Posco pins. I'm a very reasonable shopper. I like to get more bang for my buck, if you will. So I like the Posco pins with the felt tips. Those are always good because I like the clean black lines. So I use a lot of those with murals, with cleaning up the edges. Um, Microns are always good when I'm trying to get into the nitty gritty. So a lot of my drawings are used with microns because some of my drawings are very detailed, like little tiny little symbols. Um, I like metal stems because I don't know if you saw my mental health awareness flowers on my website. So I create flowers out of books. Yes, Posco pins. Somebody feels me. Yeah. You feel me, Ariana. Yeah. So yeah, microns, Posco pins, and metal stems are my go-tos.
Do you have favorite sizings that you like to pick? Because like I said earlier, you have those thick lines. Are you running out of certain sizes all the time to like keep up with your artwork, or do you like to keep a variety on hand?
The big jumbo, the biggest Costco pins that you can get, you know, the huge square tip, those are my favorite. I have like 20 of them in my art bag. So yeah, they're good for the walls. They're good for canvases. I love them, especially for murals. I just did a residential mural about 2 months ago. A lot of my work are in residences. The mural at the Met is one of three that are actually in public places, but I like for people to have their own personal experience with my work. So those pins always come in handy.
How do you find work within the residential? I feel like a lot of artists are trying to always get like these big public spaces so that way everyone can see it. Um, how do you find people to let you put artwork in these smaller, more personal spaces?
I feel so lucky because it's just been, I've had a really core, strong following for a few years, ever since I started, professionally. And they've reached out to me and wanted murals and, their places or friends' places, daycares. I've done a couple in daycares. So yeah, just word of mouth, really.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
Um, so when they approach you, do they have like an idea in mind, or do they kind of give you more free will? Like, what's your ideal way to work with clients like this?
They have an idea, and this is my favorite. Okay, so I want something with a lipstick and flowers and a book. I don't know, just do whatever, do your thing. So it's usually in that type of narration, and I like options. I'll propose like 3 sketches for them to choose from, and then I just take that and run with it. So
Very
they never look the way that I sketch them, because most of my work is kind of freehand. Like I draw out the framework and then freehand like the little details.
Do you draw digitally or traditionally?
Traditionally, actually, it's kind of both. So I'll draw it in my sketchbook. Like this is something, well, I'm working on this right now, but it's not quite finished. But yeah, I'll start in my sketchbook, and then I'm sharing this exclusively.
Yeah,
And then I take a picture, like a PDF, and then I'll transfer it into InDesign and just create vector lines and just create a vector for my drawing.
nice. So are you
Mm-hmm.
sending them vectors to kind of review back and then go from there, or
Mm-hmm. Yeah, vectors.
very cool.
Yeah. Yep. So it's kind of like design and art intertwined with my work,
Yeah.
expression and communication.
What type of design do you do in your day-to-day life?
I create videos. I'm a videographer. Well, my role with the company is a designer. So it's anything from sketching illustrations for the company, for brochures, to their website, to creating videos. So pretty much anything creative, anything
If
but paint.
if someone was to see the work you do for like your day job versus the work you show on your Instagram and your website, would they recognize your two styles
Hmm.
and put it together that that's you?
Hmm. Yeah.
That's
And that's
awesome.
kind of funny why I have like an artist. It's a reason why I have like an artist name and my, like normal government name, because, it's two different worlds. But if you were to combine the two, you would definitely see that relation.
So I want to talk about your artist name because it says Color Me Tone. Where did you come up with that? Like where
Color
did
me, color me. Um,
say
color me tone, color me tone. It started with music. I actually have an EP out called Color Babies. It's kind of embarrassing. Google it
can
if you
people
will.
listen to it?
Yeah,
Is
they
it
can
on
listen
like
to it.
where is it, like on Spotify, on SoundCloud, if
It
they
is
want to look it up?
on Bandcamp. Super throwback.
I'm
Hmm.
here for the throwbacks though. Those are great.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so did you make a song and then make your like your name, your artist name, or did you hear a song that was already existing and then it come from there? Like, where's the musical correlation?
So Color Baby started as a collective with 5 of us. We started with music, and it was music and art. It was kind of like Tyler the Creator's group. I forget the name of it, but his whole collective, that's what it was inspired by. So Tone, people call me Tone, of course. And then Color Me Tone is the group name. So we had like Color Me Super E, Color Me JP. We had different names or whatever. So that's where Color Me Tone came from.
That's so cool. So do you still make music, or is that kind of a past endeavor at this point?
I still make music on my spare time, whenever I have time to. But I try to focus on visual art. You can't get too crazy in these streets.
So I feel like I'm like saying so a lot, but I have like a thousand thoughts at one time. In terms, if we were to sit inside your studio and you're making music and you're doing your visual artwork and stuff, do you have like a soundtrack you like to play? Like, how do you set the mood to be creative?
Mm. I like to run first, honestly. I have to run some of this energy off, like, get it out so that I'm in even level. And then I'm going to turn on some trap music and I might dance a little bit, and I'm just going to go for it. Uh-oh.
I think you're the only person I've ever heard that run. Oh, did it blip? It's okay, we're back. We're doing a thing. I think you're the only person that I've ever heard say they run before they create artwork, and I think that's so interesting. Do you feel like it keeps you, like you said, it kind of levels you out? Does like calming yourself down like that help you put more of yourself into your artwork, or does it just kind of keep you mentally prepared to be invested in the activity at hand?
Um, it keeps me more invested in the activity at hand. I'm like, mentally, I'm like, if I just committed to running, even though I do not want to run, but I enjoy the feeling afterwards, I can sit down and finish this art piece, because a lot of the times we have this idea and we don't want to sit down and do it if you're a busybody like myself. So you kind of have to challenge yourself and force yourself to, because the end result is always satisfying, just like a run.
I'm going to disagree with you on the satisfying after a run, but I still believe in cake after runs.
There
Um,
it is.
so we talked a little bit about your inspirations and things like that. I kind of wanted to ask you, how do you see your art affecting the community? Obviously, you're putting things in more residential spaces. It's a lot more personal.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, what do you want the community to get out of what you're doing? What do you want them to feel or see? Like, where do you want that connection to lie?
I want people to develop their own interpretation and their own narration. We're given with a story that we're supposed to, or we're given lens that we're supposed to view the world through. Um, and, that's not the case, just think for yourself, come up with your own interpretation, come up with your own way of thinking and your own way of living. And I think that's why I create the work that I create, because I don't want to just paint a picture of a flower, or no shade or anything to realist painters or artists, but I want the meaning to come from whoever's looking at it. Mm.
Very open for interpretation. You
Yeah.
actually, in your website and stuff, I noticed you don't really specify too much of like what the work is about or what people are supposed to see out of these like ink block test
Hmm.
inspired paintings. So is that intentional to like allow them to keep in that interpretation?
Hmm. Yes. Hmm.
Do you ever do you ever place anything intentionally that you're like, oh, they're gonna see this. This needs to be a focal point, or is it all open-handed?
It's funny you said that. I'm working on a new series right now, and there's definitely focal points amongst the chaos. So yeah, the me currently, yes, I'm learning ways to bring in actual reality and the reality that's in my head to kind of connect the two. So the work that's currently on my website, no, it's just open-ended for interpretation, like you said, but now it's a little different.
Okay.
Hmm.
Can we hear a little bit about what this new project is? Is it a painting or a mural or like what is it?
I'm working on a solo show. So I'm just collecting, I'm painting, just working, painting canvases and putting them in storage.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, hopefully by next spring, I will have my life together and have everything together. But yeah, I'm just letting them collect and pile up for now. So I have, a bike frame that I've painted. I have an 8'6" canvas that I've done. I have a new Japanese series that I'm working on right now. So yeah, it's going to be a
That's
little bit
so
of everything.
exciting.
Yeah.
So you said you're wanting to do this like next spring. Are you hoping that COVID has kind of like died down and we can do this in person, or do you have a corona-proof plan for your solo exhibit? How can we
Definitely,
participate?
definitely a corona proof plan. I don't want to take any chances. And I think even when we find a vaccine, this is going to be the new way of living, social distancing and online and virtually. So yeah, we have to figure something out.
Nice. Um, in terms of like how that's going to affect you later on, is it affecting you now? Do you feel like it's limiting you? It's keeping you like, is it inspiring you, or is it just kind of like depressing, or how does that work out in your life for you personally with the things happening in the world?
Hmm. It's funny because I thought that I would be like manic during this time being stuck in the house. And I live with my partner and I have two bonus babies as well. So I'm like, it's weird, but I'm kind of like a stepmom. So with so many more responsibilities on my plate, I feel like it's driven me in, especially with Corona and being stuck in the house, it's kind of driven me to be more focused with my work and
That's
using,
super cool.
time wisely, if you will.
So you said using time wisely, and I know sometimes it's hard to keep on track and stuff. How do you how do you manage your time and your artwork? You have a full-time day job, you're still creating a lot of content online. Do you
Hmm.
schedule it out? Do you just kind of like just say like, okay, 1 hour each day I'm going to try to do this? Like, how do you pre-plan? Do you pre-plan?
Yep, I definitely pre-plan. Sundays are my days to pre-plan. And Sundays are also the day that I record the weather report. So I get everything together on Sundays, and during the week I focus on my artwork. So I might, sometimes I'll wake up at 5 or 6, and I usually don't have to log in until 9 because I work from home. Um, so I just find time in between, and I'm very lucky to have a partner that allows me to work, in my free time, and she kind of picks up, where I lack with, the kids and everything. So, and we don't have TV too, so we kind of have to keep ourselves entertained, and that's a good way too.
Was that intentional to remove that additional entertainment to
Hmm.
kind of like give, how long have you not had a TV, if I can?
Forever.
Really?
Yeah, I've
So
never really been into TV.
that's really cool. So I'm just kind of asking because I know some people like to like leave Netflix shows on in the background while they do things, or like Amazon Prime Video or whatever else. Um, yeah, how are you going through this then? It like, is it always music in the background? Do you like podcasts? Is it silent while you're working?
Okay, so yes, I do like Netflix, but it's always it's playing in the background. To be honest with you, I can never sit through a movie. But yeah, so background noise is always good. So yeah, music, Netflix in the background. That's about it. Sometimes we draw all together, so just that, music and silence is all you need.
When you say we, are you talking about you and your partner, or you and other artists?
Me and my partner. She's an artist as well. She's from
Oh, that's so
Japan.
cool.
She's a Japanese artist. Mhm.
Do you feel like, do you guys collaborate ever, or is your work separate?
We have not collaborated yet.
Can we?
Except for jewelry, yes. Actually, yeah,
Okay,
we have collaborated. She took a painting of mine and made earrings, which were phenomenal.
that's so cool. Are they
Hmm.
on your Instagram if anyone wants to check them out, or are they
Hmm.
not public?
Yep,
Very
they're
cool.
on my Instagram. Yep.
So, in terms of the jewelry, I saw different rings and stuff you do too. I think I saw the earrings that you were talking about that you created with your partner.
Hmm.
But how did jewelry making start?
Because I love jewelry. Girls love jewelry. Yeah, jewelry is amazing, especially rings. And you see so much of the same jewelry. And I guess being a creative, you just want to create your own jewelry and kind of venture out and try something different. And if I'm going to try something different, I'm going to commit to it. So that's, I guess, that's where that long string of ring making went. But eventually you get bored and you go back to where your home is, which is drawing and painting.
Very cool. I noticed that you play with a lot of different sizes and different stones.
Hmm.
Was that just because it was experimental for you, so you wanted to get the feel of everything, or like, was it intentional? Was it not? Like,
Yeah, it was intentional. Just I wanted the rings to be like a treasure box. And that's kind of like the same concept with my drawings, you know, you reach in but you never know what you're going to get. And if it speaks to you, if the ring's your size and the color you like, then go for it. But I'm just going to create what I like to create.
that's super cool. Um, so you're not making rings anymore. You're talking about like having t-shirts and apparel.
Hmm.
How do you feel about passing off your work like that? I know you said you don't really like to sell it, but you're kind of still shifting that. Do you feel like you're letting go of some sort of creative control, or are you just leaving it to the public to have something else that's kind of a part of you?
Leaving it to the public. I don't want to be too pushy, especially I feel like if I'm too pushy, then is for the wrong reason. Like I genuinely like to create just because I like to create, you know? And which
Yeah,
is why I decided to get a day job because for years I was just doing this, you know, just artists, strictly artists and murals, which is fine, but you eventually need a day job when you have two little ones and a partner. So, yeah, that's just where it's at. If,
so how are you making time for your murals and stuff? Is it also like on Sundays, or are you like shifting that through the week too? Like, that's a busy schedule. I just want to know how you kind of keep balance.
my art comes first. So I'll take off work if I need to. I've taken off work. I've been on vacation, like the last one I took off and just knocked it out for the weekend. So I'll schedule them on the Friday and just work through the weekend. So I'm always
That's
working, honestly.
You're always working.
Yeah,
Do you, do you feel like that's kind of counterproductive to your mental health, or does it help keep you in a positive mental state to
it
be
helps.
so busy?
Hmm. It
So,
helps.
what do you do to take time for you? Is it your artwork or is it something else? Like, how do you unwind?
My artwork, drawing, painting. That's me sitting still is not good because then your mind starts to go, and I think that's kind of where I kind of relapse with my mental. So it's important for me to stay busy.
That's super cool. With you always staying busy and you doing this, you said your partner kind of helps to like keep things balanced. How do you feel that partnership is strengthening your artwork? Like, what influence is it having on you?
Mm. It's given me a new chapter to illustrate. Now it's not just about everyday life. Now love is involved in this other person's perspective, and all of these different components from her are involved. So I have to tell that story within my artwork now.
Do you feel because you're telling the story of like you and your love and your partner, do the children or your kids influence that too? Or do you try to keep it kind of away from them? Like, do they see the work you do?
Hmm. They do. They're very honest. They're like, this one has too many eyeballs. Or my last painting, I asked our oldest daughter if she liked it, and she just stayed quiet. So,
Oh no.
yeah, which is fine. Like you have your own. She has her own opinions, and that's fine. But like my art now is more PG, to be honest with you. Before it was a little bit more liberal, and I think in my younger days, I was a little bit less censored, and I don't think anybody should censor their work. But with so many little eyes looking up at you, I think that you should be aware of what you're putting out sometimes and how you're interpreting what you're trying to say. So I think in that way, yeah, it has influenced my work. Less R-rated.
What changes have you made to make it more PG? Is it imagery changes? Is it like how you talk about your own artwork? Like, how do you present that to these young minds and get them involved in this community?
Less aggressive. More PG with me talking about it, more PG in imagery. Like, I would have phalluses in my, drawings, which is fine, but you have to kind of figure out a way to draw those phalluses now without it just being a giant phallus on the canvas, so different ways like that. Not all of
Have
my
your
drawings are phalluses, but it's just an example.
have your kids ever noticed any of these more adult themes in your past work, or do you try not to show them that because it might be too mature for them?
Yeah, I try not to show it to them. Hmm. Yeah, but we don't hide things from the kids. Like, we talk to them about everything. So, if they were to come across it, I'll explain it to them, but I'm not just going to, just show it to them and say, "Hey, look."
No surprise, this is a phallus.
Yeah.
That's probably a good.
Let me show you something, kids. Yeah.
So I kind of want to sort of trickle backwards or tread backwards a little bit in terms of like your diversity and unity statements and things that you've made. In you're having like your past work having so much adult content.
Hmm.
How do you feel that that adult content contributes to certain diversity elements? Like if you're having phalluses or like female figures or like nudes and stuff, how are you showing diversity in that way?
Because those components relate to everybody, and it's not just Black art, or it's not just, a woman with blue eyes and blonde hair. Like, it's relatable things for everybody. And I think that my artwork is a great place for people to come together, like of different colors and different backgrounds, and say, "Hey, what do you see? I see this," or "I see that." And, "Oh, you see that? Where, how do you see that? Oh, okay. Let me flip it this way," So it's kind of like a center point for everybody to relate.
Do you ever have conversations with the people who are looking at your art, um, to have that like one-on-one time for what they see or what they think, or do you just kind of see what happens as people are observing and kind of listen in as they make their commentary?
101 time, definitely. I think that's where I'm able to get in and let people know. Well, not let people know, but, share myself with others, since I'm not really sharing myself with others through my art besides visually. I'm not explaining too much, but then I can kind of explain to them when I'm with them 101. Not so much of what they're seeing, but kind of get into their heads a little bit.
You seem so confident and so personable. I kind of want to ask, like, when you're seeing someone who's more reserved and who's looking at your pieces, do you just kind of go and introduce yourself? Do you wait for someone to like seek you out? How are
Hmm.
you starting that conversation?
I like to wait for people to seek me out. Um, I worked at an art gallery at the Billow Gallery for 2 years. Are you familiar with the Billow Gallery?
I am not, but tell me about it.
Okay,
Well,
so they've been in the news, and I'm not proud to have represented the company, but for basically, and it's interesting, they the owner was stealing artwork from artists. So I got a job there because I was interested in seeing how a successful gallery runs, because his gallery has been around for 25 years. I didn't stand for what he did, but being in that environment was such an intelligent, because he's very intelligent. I was able to learn a lot about people and the business of artwork. Um, so working in the gallery and just seeing people's reactions to different pieces, and um, just really communicating with them without words, body language, and, this person seems like they're open to talk, or, ask questions. And so I kind of learned from that environment.
what do you think was the most significant thing you learned while you were there?
Mm. Wow, that's a really good question. How to sell your work. Hmm.
Do you feel like you knew how to sell prior to that, or was that something you developed specifically while you were in that gallery spacing?
Developed specifically. You see what people are looking for when they purchase art. If I were to create pieces just for people to purchase or to put in a gallery setting, I know what I need to include or how I need to present my work or how I need to speak with the gallery owner, and or how I need to get my foot in the door, different aspects like that.
So I have a question for people who might not be familiar with getting into that space. If they're looking to get into galleries, what's one piece of advice you could give them to make that first step into the door?
Be persistent, number one. Number two, have your CV and your portfolio at hand. That's very important. And create large pieces. Large works is good. Large works, be consistent with your stylization. If you're going to paint on the canvas on the sides, then be consistent and paint on the sides. Like, be aggressive with who you identify as an artist visually, if you will. Um, that's really it. Persistence, and once you have that CV and portfolio, then you pretty much got it. Just be in their face every day.
Is there a reason you mentioned having larger sizes? Like, is that more successful in that space, or is it just because I feel like a large piece is not something we see in everyone's home. So why the large pieces if you're trying to get into galleries?
Just from what I noticed, the larger pieces sold more, and they drew more attention. And I hate to say that they sold more, like, it's just all about the money. But when you're in a gallery setting, like, it pretty much is about the money. Like, you're trying to sell your artwork. You're not just having it there just to show people, even though that is a huge aspect. But um, yeah, large pieces were good for the gallery that I worked at. But people do appreciate smaller pieces. Like, we're at a treehouse right now, and there's a lot of small pieces of artwork um, that I appreciate. But just from my experience, a lot of people like larger pieces, and they stand out more too. You see a lot of small pieces, but not too many larger pieces.
So when you're working for yourself and you're doing these pieces, do you gravitate towards larger or smaller pieces? Because on Instagram it's kind of hard to tell like the scale of some of the work. I know when we were posting for this that you sent us an image of one of your pieces, and it's definitely a large piece because you're in scale with it, and we can see you like on the bottom section of the frame, and the piece continues up past you. So, do you have a preference, whether it's small or large, or do you like a variety?
The bigger, the better, baby. I love large pieces, like just the freedom, like you can move differently when you have a large piece. Even if you're just doing lines, you can get some rotary motion going. You can't get
What
too much rotary motion in the small piece.
What's the largest piece you've made to date?
Um, there's another mural that I did at the Met. It is the TLC and the Keisha Bottoms and the Georgia. It has like an outline of Georgia, and that one's, I think, 50 feet. So that one's bigger than the black and white one that I shared with you. So that's the biggest mural that I've done. The biggest canvas that I've done is a 8 foot by 6.
Wow. That's
Mhm.
that's getting some height.
Yeah, but they're hard to
So,
work with though, or store, or you know,
what's the most difficult part about working with them then?
where am I going to create this piece if it doesn't fit in my studio? Or like I moved out of my shop, so I have my larger pieces in storage right now. So finding a storage place to put them or finding a gallery place to put them until you're able to put them back in your studio is just a little bit harder to manage. Mhm.
So, you said you have pieces in storage and stuff like that. Are you going to bring them out next year for your solo show, or
Mhm.
do you kind of keep them for you?
Mhm. I'm going to bring them out.
Are people going to be able to purchase some of your work then, or are you just wanting them to see and interact with it?
That aspect, I'm not really sure yet. It's just so hard to part with my pieces. And again, like I create them to create designs based off of them at this point in my life. So if anything, well, not if anything, I want my artwork to be on pieces like printed canvases that more people can purchase if they wanted to, or of course prints, clothing, shoes, bikes, just stuff out the norm, not so much just buy a canvas for your home. But if you like the canvas, then you can buy the print, but or the clothes that has the print on it. But I don't know. I'm not ready to part with my artwork yet.
I understand it's very personal in what you're doing. Um, how do you show other people's personalities when you're doing work for them? I know you
Hmm.
said they kind of come to you with like prompts of some kind, but if you're doing a lot of residential work, how do you, yeah, how do you portray that?
Um, I can bring like objects. I can personify objects, like give them eyes. So we all have different features that make us. So if there's a feature in somebody and I'm doing a mural for them, I might bring it out in one of the characters with the eyes, or I might add an element in the drawing that reminds them, to surprise them and reminds them of themselves. Like the last mural that I did, she wanted lipstick and she wanted her wall to say F fear. I don't know if I can curse on here, so I'm going to keep it PG,
You can
but
curse.
yeah, it says F fear basically, or yeah, F fear, live, inspire, create. And I added a cactus because she's Mexican. And so that was a really cool, little twist that I put on that she enjoyed. So yeah, just different elements like that.
That's super cool. So we're starting to run a little bit low on time. We have about 10 minutes left. So if anyone who's watching wants to drop any questions, there's a little box underneath that's got a question mark. You can do that for us to start collecting them, or you can just drop them in the comments so we can see them. But anything you guys want to ask or know about Tone, go ahead and do it. Someone asked, what's your favorite animal?
um, oh, hi, Kyoko. My favorite animal is, can I show you? Can I show
Yeah.
you? Okay. This is my favorite animal right here.
Is that a rabbit or I don't know what that is.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie. I have
you
no
tell
idea what
me.
that is.
It is a rabbit with horns. I've never seen it before. That is my all-time favorite animal. And then I would say a dog after that. Rabbit with horns. Dogs are awesome.
Dogs are great. Are you a dog person or a cat person then? Or
Oh,
doesn't?
God. Cats, I don't understand. I just don't get them. They're too smart for me. Like, they're like this dumb human. So I just kind of move on. Dogs are a lot more playful and they're so sweet and intuitive. Like, cats are intuitive, but I just don't understand. I don't understand them. So definitely dogs. What about you?
I'm a zoo lady. I I've had everything. I've had turtles and cockatiels. I've had hermit crabs, dogs, cats, everything.
That's
I've
awesome.
had all kinds of fish. Yeah. So I am currently working on just maintaining the current zoo at hand and not expanding. Um,
Uh-oh.
but yeah, yeah, I've got cats right now that are interesting. I definitely feel you on the dogs are more playful. My dog is 9 years old and is a grumpy old man, but he's still cute and cuddly versus like anytime I interact with cats, they're just kind of like, I guess you're okay. I
Mm,
guess we can be friends. So someone asked if you're going to be expanding to other medias.
um, I'm expanding to the video world right now. I think that's a medium within itself. Videography and cinematography. I'm able to create, not so much with me on the camera, but animations. I forgot to mention that. I also do animations, so that's where I'm expanding right now.
What kind of animation are you working on? Is it 2D, 3D, stop motion? Um,
Um, Vector animation. So I use Adobe Animate. And I also like Premiere Pro, and there's another program that plugs into it. Can't think of the name right now, but you're able to, it's kind of like Adobe Animate, except a little bit more detailed.
Nice.
So yeah, vector illustrations, vector animations are where my focus is with that.
I love that. I actually have a background in animation and do a lot of stop motion, so I'm excited to see the work you put out.
That's
It's
really
going to
cool.
be so fun. Are you self-taught in terms of your animation work, or are you following like through online classes, or how do you start?
Self-taught. I if my job tells me they need something and I have to figure it out, then I'm gonna be up all night figuring it out. And then 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna enjoy it and want to apply that with, me, who I am. So yeah, just definitely learning as I go.
I love that. You have such a like positive attitude about consistently moving forward. I'm gonna go ahead and start to kind of cap us off because I don't want Instagram to shut down on us.
Okay.
But do you have any last pieces of like advice or anything you'd like to tell the audience before we kind of close off for the evening?
My advice is, if you said you wanted to do it and you feel like you have lost your craft or lost touch with your craft, do not give up. Don't worry about what anybody says. Just pick up where you've left off and just do it. Don't think about anybody else. Don't think about nobody's opinion. Just create for yourself and just to get it out. Just do it.
I think that's a beautiful sentiment. So, guys, thank you all for watching. Again, if you want to check out Tone's work, go to her Instagram at colormetone or the website coloredbabies.com. Is there anywhere else that we should be on the lookout for your merchandise? Or
Just Instagram and Facebook. I mean, not Facebook, Instagram and my website. Don't go to my Facebook.
perfect. We will stay clear from Facebook at the moment. But thank you so, so much for doing this hour interview with me and taking time out of your Saturday night. Like,
Thank you. Thank you so much, Krupa. Thank you. You're amazing. I love your energy and I appreciate your time.
yeah. All right, guys, we'll be back hopefully in another week and we'll post again for the next What's in My Studio. But that's it. All right, bye, everyone.
Bye.